Hare Krishna. This evening, we'll speak on another verse of Bhagavad Gita. The first evening, we spoke about the problem of envy. You remember? That was the first evening. And yesterday, we proposed a part of the solution. That was the importance of hearing Krishna Katha, hearing the Bhagavatam especially. But it's not only hearing. We need also to practice devotional service. And that's the topic of today. And if then we will come free from envy and develop love of Krishna. What is love of Krishna? We will speak about tomorrow. Today we will speak on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, Yoga of Meditation, text 24. 624. You have it on your cell phones. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Sanisayena Yuktavyo Yoga Nivina Shetasam. Sanisayena Yuktavyo Yoga Nivina Shetasam. Sankalpa Prabhavan Kamans Jaktva Sarvan Asheshata.
Sankalpa Prabhavan Kamans
Anaysa Vendriya Kaman Viniyamya Samantata. That's better. Sanisayena Yuktavyo Yoga Nivina Shetasha. Kalpa Prabhavan Kamans Jaktva Sarvana Sheshataha. Manasai Vendriya Kamam Vinyamya Samantata. Anisayena Yuktavyo Yoga Nivina Shetasha. Sankalpa Bhavan Kamam Yaktva Sarvam Sheshtata. Manasai Vendriya Kamam Vinyamya Samantata.
Sanishayena Yoktavyo योगो अनिर्विन्न चेतसा
Yogo nirvinashetasa
संकल्प प्रभवान् कामामस्
Samangapavadhyamam
त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् असेतसा
Chaptra Sarvanashetasa
मनसैवेन्द्रियाग्रामम्
Manasarvendriyagamam
नियं समन्तता
Viniyamya samantata. Okay. Let's go to the word for word translation. Saha that Nishayena with firm determination. Yuktavya must be practiced. Yoga system. Anirvinashetasa without deviation. Sankalpa mental speculation. Bhagavan born of Kaman material desires. Yaktva keeping up. Sarvan all. Ashetata completely. Manasa by the mind. Eva certainly. Indriya Kaman the full set of the senses. Viniyamya regulating. Samantataha from all sides. First read the translation. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all the sides by the mind. A little difficulty with reading because I got a cataract operation and my sight is changed and these glossy glasses are not suitable anymore for the eyes. I try again. Please repeat. One should engage oneself.
One should engage oneself
In the practice of yoga.
in the practice of yoga
With determination and faith.
with determination and faith,
And not deviated from the path.
and not be deviated from the path.
One should abandon
One should abandon
without exception
without exception
all material desires,
all material desires,
all of mental speculation,
all material speculation,
and thus control
thus control
all the senses
all the senses
on all sides by the mind.
on all sides by the mind.
The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsaya nisyada yatat karma pavaktanat sangatyaga saturvite satpir bhakti pashityati. I can execute the process of Bhakti Yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. Upada Samrita, text 3, nectar of instruction. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. The sparrow left her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water with her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus, Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus, the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga, in Krishna consciousness may appear to be a very difficult job, but if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. Shichetayamanavistam stapitam yena bhutalisvam upakadamyam dadati svapalantikam. Vandeham shiyu dhapadkamlam shiyum vaishnavam shiyupam darjatam saganaragnatam pitam tam sativam sadvaitam savadutam parjana saitam Sri Krishna titanya devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shipshakam Vitam Sham Hey Krishna Guruna Sinu Dinu Bandhu Tyatpate Gopesha Goprakanta Lam Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavanashri Vishabhana Sutta Devi Panamama Hritti Pankha Kalpa Vishya Kripa Vishya Padnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Dada Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Srinivadi Vaskachari Krishatami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this commentary of Srila Prabhupada is all about Bhakti Yoga. Interesting. We are here in the descriptions of Ashtanga Yoga. But we need to remember always that this Jnana Yoga, this Karma Yoga, this Jnana Yoga, this Ashtanga Yoga are incomplete yogas. And the complete yoga is Bhakti Yoga. It are stages leading to Bhakti Yoga. But Bhakti is a complete yoga, as Shiva Ramaraj mentioned in his book Bhakti Vedanta Purpose. There he writes that Karma Yoga has two characteristics. It's action and renunciation. And Jnana Yoga has also two characteristics. It's renunciation and knowledge. Well, but no action anymore. They want to get rid of it. And then we have here Ashtanga Yoga has also three characteristics. There's no action, it is when it's going into meditation. So meditation, renunciation, and knowledge. some knowledge, but they realize that they are not a body. It's so different from the body. But Bhakti Yoga has 5 characteristics. It is the complete yoga. It has action. It's action. It's pronounced knowledge. It's meditation on Krishna. And the 5th characteristic is the most important, devotion. Devotion you find only in Bhakti. And that's the purpose of this practice, to come to the devotion. But some of these aspects of Bhakti Yoga we find also here in this Ashtanga Yoga process. But Krishna will, Arjuna already said before, I cannot do that. It's impractical for me. That's what Arjuna will say in this chapter. It's impractical for Arjuna. Srila Prabhupada says in a lecture, Arjuna is 1,000 times more qualified than all of us. So he could not do it. So how could we do it? But at the end of the chapter, Krishna says, Yoginam apasarvnam matchanam prabhavanam shodvam vachateyamam samyukta tamem mata. The real yogi, he says, is united with me in the heart, in love. That's bhakti. That's actually what's needed. But in this purport, so Srila Prabhupada speaks about really important aspects of the practice of devotional service. So yesterday we heard the importance of hearing. So there are 9 poses of devotional service. We heard from Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Bhavsevanam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmani Vedanam. And the first 3 poses is Shravanam. We spoke about that yesterday. And the purpose of Shravanam is, Kirtanam, that we do Kirtan after that. And that not only Kirtan, that we are remembering Krishna and his pastimes. So that process, these first 3, they are called the process of Bhagavat Vidhi. Bhagavat Vidhi. That's the process of the Bhagavatam. Bhagavat Vidhi. But then the 6 other processes, Pada Sevanam, Archanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmani Vedanam, Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Archanam, deity worship. Archanam, Vandanam, prayers. Dasyam, serving the Lord. Sakhyam, develop a relationship of friendship with the Lord. Atmani Vedanam, we surrender ourselves to the Lord, give everything to the Lord. That is called Pancharatrika Vidhi, or the practice of devotional service. And that is called here, this practice of devotional service, by Rupa Goswami, Tat Karma Pravartanat. That's executing the process of devotional service, that doing our prescribed duties in devotional service. This is this Pancharatrika Vidhi, which includes the chanting of the holy names, full of the 4 related principles and so on. But it said one should perform it in association of the devotees and by engaging completely in the activities of goodness. This is a lifestyle. And that this Pancharataka Vidhi is a lifestyle. That this Pancharatna comes from it comes from Brahma. Comes from Brahma. And Brahma, at the beginning of creation, we know that he performed austerities, tapa, in the beginning. When he was just born, he was sitting on this lotus flower, that a big lotus flower, because this lotus flower contains all the planets of the universe. Big. But it was dark, there was no sun, and there came a big wind, and this flower went up and down. And then he heard the words tapa. So he started to tapa in Sanskrit is austerities. He started to perform austerities in devotional service, trying to meditate on the Supreme Mountain. Then finally, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhika Vihing. So Krishna gave him the knowledge from within. But then he had all this knowledge and he was ready to create, but even in the beginning of the creation, there were already demons. I think it was Madhu and Kaitava, 2 demons. And these demons had speciality. They were not ordinary demons. They could steal the contents of one's mind. And they stole the contents of the Brahma's minds, and he forgot everything. So then he said to the Lord, I must create, but I don't know how to do it anymore. I lost everything. And Lord Brahma said, can you give me this knowledge again? But it took a long time to get this knowledge. Teach me first the essence of this knowledge. That the Lord agreed to teach the essence. What is the essence?
Devotional service.
Devotional service, yeah, the practice of devotional service. And the Lord agreed to teach it in 5 nights, because nights of Brahma. Not our nights. Nights of Brahma. So Panch in Hindi, 5, Panch Ratna, night. In 5 nights, he gave him this knowledge. And later he gave this knowledge to Narada Muni, his son. And he then gave it further. And then it got the name Narada Pancharatnam. That interesting. But mainly an important aspect of this Pancharatna, of this practice of devotional service, is the description of the lifestyle of devotional service. That think it is here. The lifestyle of devotional service. But this lifestyle of devotional service we find described also in Nectar of Devotion, that not everything, but there we have 64 items of devotional service. That, but they are taking from Hari Bhakti Vilas, that Sanatan Goswami's work. You find it in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya instructs Sanatan Goswami to write a work on the practices of devotional service. That how the sadachar, how a devotee behaves and lives, and all these rules and regulations of devotee lives, we find in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that also Gopal Bhatta Goswami has worked on it, but he didn't want his name mentioned. But he worked on it with Sanatan Goswami. So that explains many aspects of devotional service. But of course, the essence is in the Nectar of Devotion, 64 items of devotional service, 10 things to do, 10 things not to do. These are the primary. And then 44 items of practice, deity worship, but also the following of Ekadashi and so on. But here it is said, yes, in this paragraph of the verse of Bhagavad Gita, so by completely engaging in the activities of goodness, we will first look at these activities of goodness, at a few aspects of it, so that we understand how to live as a devotee. That then we will look a little deeper in the Pancharatna, what's mentioned there. But it's mentioned here, this verse, Utsaya, Nisaya, Dharya. Utsaha, you must be enthusiastic. You must really desire to practice that. But Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction that's for everything you want to do. If you want to do business, you must be enthusiastic, otherwise it's not going to happen. And you need perseverance, determination. It doesn't happen. If you start a business, it doesn't happen in one day. You have to build it up, and it's a lot of work. And tapasya in the beginning, you must invest, and so many problems. You have to go, but you have determination. And then, Dayat, patience. That it will come, the result, if we are determined and we do it rightly. So that's important in devotional service. May not always work in the material world. But then that karma pravartana. This includes that karma pravartana is not only chanting for the four regulated principles, but engaging in activities of the mode of goodness. And Lord Krishna also in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think it's chapter 11, symptoms of liberated and conditioned souls. So he explains how we can become liberated. And he said, first thing is you must follow this. You must engage in activities of goodness and be situated in goodness. and then take the help of a spiritual master. Under the guidance of a spiritual master, come to goodness and then transcend it. So that's also mentioned about the Tochasta Mogba Kamalabasayastis Terra Anavitam Sitva Satve Prashidati. Surely the influence of the mouth of ignorance and passion, it goes away and one becomes situated in goodness. So that's engaging in activities of goodness, an important part. So this goodness is a stepping stone to transcendence. Because goodness is in Sanskrit. Sattva. And transcendence is Suddha Sattva. Purified goodness. Suddha Sattva is transcendence. There's also other names, Turiya and so on, but Suddha Sattva. So the Sattva, the goodness in this world, is never pure. It's always mixed with passion and ignorance. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, these modes, they fight with each other constantly. They fight. And so it's never 100% pure. But when it becomes, but Suddha Sattva, transcendence, is 100% pure. And how to come to it, how to transcend these modes? Mamsir, Vyabhacharana, Bhaktiona, Sivta, Saganam, Samachichechan, Brahmabuya, Kalpate. So by pure, unalloyed devotional service, not mixed, pure devotional service. That not mixed with material desires or jnana, karma. No. So that brings us to the transcendental plane. That's because this mode of goodness, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, is conducive for self-realization. In goodness, you see the reality. In passion and ignorance, you are in illusion, identifying with this body and this mind, especially. Goodness is important. That if we want to maintain a healthy mind, we want to remain balanced in our life, that we must strive to come to goodness. If someone who is in passion and ignorance is insane, that I've seen many times, many are so stressed out, they get panic attacks and so on. That means associating, Satasat Guna Sangrasya, they are associating with these modes. That is especially resident tamas. So Srila Prabhupada told us you get up before 4 a.m. in the morning if you want to be in goodness. If you don't get up before 4 a.m., not really in goodness. So I guess Bhakti Charamach instructed all his disciples to get up before 4 a.m. and all the disciples put their alarm clock up 3:55. Anyway, but get up before 4 a.m. And then take a shower. That's important. But if you don't take a shower, then this influence of all these modes, especially the night sleeping, is ignorance. The mind dreams and it's nonsense. We have to get up, see things clear, take a shower, and then decorate the body with tilak on 12 places, and dress every day in clean clothes, and attend melancholy, even if you are alone. When I get up in the morning here, I chant all the songs myself. That it doesn't take long. But it's important. It's important that we learn as devotees to develop the capability to engage ourselves in devotional service, wherever we are. That always wear clean clothes, that do not steal. That's not in goodness. That a healthy mind does not speak ill of others. That's important. A healthy mind does not speak ill of others. This you have the austerities of the mind in Bhagavad Gita, in the 17th chapter. Austerities of the mind, chapter 17, I think 14 or 15. Yeah. It's 16. Mana prasada samyat. Mana prasada, satisfaction of the mind. Whatever situation you are in, learn to be satisfied. Accepting it. Krishna has put me in this situation. Not easy. Challenging sometimes. But accept whatever Krishna gives. That Maunam, gravity, Srila Prabhupada says. To be great. Yes. That always serious. That not that there can be no humor, but we are grave in the matter of self-realization. That Atma Vinigra, control the mind, always engaged in devotions. But also, the austerity of speech is going together with this mode of goodness. Speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others. It's quite not easy. Always pleasing. That and still saying the truth. Anyway, that's the mind. Never use unpleasant words. That always positive, but still saying the truth. That's not easy. Do not become inimical to others or quarrel with others. That is very disturbing. These are all practices, things we must practice to come to goodness. That chant japa and worship the deity. That's very important. That's a positive practice. And here Srimad Bhagavatam, that brings you also to goodness. So these are general guidelines, but in the Pancharatnam, there we get a few more details that Let's see. So, about deity worship. Deity worship is for the Kanishta Adhikar devotee, the beginner. The Madhyam Adhikar is liberated. That is halfway devotional, is liberated. What is liberated? Brahma Buddha Vaishnava Shostina Kamshati. If you never lament, you never desire in anything in this world, you are liberated. That someone here is liberated. And the last time that I was here, there was someone who said yes. Yeah. But I'm certainly not liberated. So if you are not liberated, you are a Kanishta. Of course, Kanishta, we have different levels. We are those who are nearly liberated, and those who are beginning. After 30 years, you become a first-class Kanishta. I was traveling with Prahlad Maharaj, so his servant. At that time, he was practicing 30 years of devotional service. Something like that. Yeah, 30 years. And he said to me, I'm a Kanishta. I said, okay, but of course you have Kanishtas who are nearly liberated. And those who are just beginning are big difference. I can say it's out of humility, but we have to be careful with it. That we have to be truthful with ourselves. But if you are nearly liberated, it's good. And you won't take birth anymore. So it's good. Of course, it's the duty of the disciple to see the spiritual master as an Uttamadhikara. That's another thing. But yes, if you are a Madhyamadhikara, you don't need deity worship. That's what the Pancharatma said. So as long as we are in a conditioned state, deity worship is useful. If you are liberated, you can always think of Krishna in your heart without you see Krishna in your heart, then there's no issue. But Pancharatma means regulation in our lives. This deity worship brings regulation. I remember when I did deity worship because in Radha Belgium, I did for some years I was Pujari. I did service of all the deities, Radha Gopinath, Lalita Vishaka, Charana Baldev Subhadranka, all the time. Complete worship. Sometimes I had also to cook the Raj Bhoga. That was 17 preparations. 3 hours you have 17 preparations. It's intense. And it must be ready in time. But I remember in the deity kitchen in Radhadesh, so the plates of the deities were pictures on the wall with the cups. And in the cups was written what you had to prepare. But and so you had to, of course, water, that is the easiest preparation. But then a juice, and then white rice, yellow rice, and then you have a sabji, and a bitter sabji, then chapatis, the daily sweet, and an extra sweet you have to make, and then you have also puris, and a few other things I forgot. But it's intense, and you have to be regulated. You have to be there in time, clean, prepare everything, systematic. And it's intense. Also the deity worship in the morning, the undressing, before all the prayers, so many prayers, and undressing, the bathing, and then putting on the clothes, and that's decoration, and the garlands, and offering sweets, and it's very intense. But it creates revelation, and it's a deep absorption on Krishna. During that time, we are really Krishna conscious. So Pancharatna creates regulation, and that allows us to absorb ourselves in the hearing and the chanting. Otherwise, we get distraction. The Pancharatna, the methods we practice, are meant to connect us with Krishna, to make the connection. That's the purpose. And there are two kinds of practices. The direct practices of the worship, we do the worship the deity, but the indirect practices, and these indirect practices, they are like getting up in the morning, taking a shower, and then you have to decorate the body with tilak afterwards, clean clothes, then you have to go to the temple. So this is indirect. And it's important because we are conditioned and we need to be connected. And that's this Pancharatna gives regulation. What's the difference here between the Bhagavad Vidhi that we discussed yesterday and this Pancharatna Vidhi? In the Bhagavad Vidhi, you don't have rules really. You just hear the Bhagavatam. We have heard with great attention. That's another thing. We need to hear with great attention, but there are otherwise no rules. By the chanting of Hare Krishna, you have to do it properly without offenses, but there are no rules otherwise. But here are rules in this practice. It is Tattva Karma Pravartana. A lot of rules, but these rules are meant to connect us with Krishna. So this Pancharatna helps us to engage in devotional service without deviation. Constantly. We are not on the platform of prema, and therefore we require practice. And that's also the practice which Sanatana Goswami explains in these 44 items out of the 64. So it's very important that it's culture, it's a lifestyle, it's a spiritual lifestyle. So sometimes devotees say, it's Krishna consciousness is change of consciousness. Why do I need to wear a dhoti? But we learn in the Bhagavatam, even the demons, they are wearing a dhoti. That Hiranyakashipu was wearing a dhoti. So why? Because the Vedic culture gives us also the facility to enjoy materially nicely. So these demons, they understand that outside these Vedas, there is no efficient way to make material nature respond. No. So there are laws. Krishna's laws apply also to the material energy. Because does the modern society get a lot out of the material energy? Today, fruits and vegetables usually have no taste. Especially where I live in Belgium, in Europe, and also in India, there is only polluted air to breathe. Here you are fortunate. And you have to buy water everywhere, in bottles, because you cannot drink it anymore. I remember in the 60s, when I was a kid, these plastic bottles that did not exist came up in the 70s, 80s, suddenly this. And before we drank just water from the tap. And all clothes are synthetic. And then look at people's relationship. They are getting divorced. So many difficulties. Even sense gratification is not happening. Maybe in the movies, but otherwise not happening. So therefore also the demons they follow the Vedic culture. Some say that modern times are superior to Vedic culture. But they are more foolish than the demons. They know it. But why are we interested in the Vedic culture? Because the Vedic culture is teaching us how to connect with Krishna. So that's called a Daivi Varnashram. And the rules that apply here to this Pancharatna. So Pancharatna takes these aspects from the Vedas that can directly connect us with Krishna. Therefore Pancharatna, the Lord gave it to Brahma in 5 nights. He gave the essence. The essence is how to connect with Krishna. That's the practice of devotional service. So, of course, on the point of authority, the Smriti is based on the Shruti. The Shruti is that what's spoken by the Lord directly, Shruti. And that was it's called Shruti because in the Vedic tradition that was heard. It was an oral tradition. That Sanskrit at that time, in many thousand years ago, it was not written down. The written Sanskrit came up a few thousand years ago, but has been developed. That's new, but it was oral. And so also this Pancharatna is based on the Vedas. And it is the essence. What connects us with Krishna? So when one follows these rules and regulations of the Pancharatma, it will bring us to the Bhagavat platform, connected with Krishna. So there is a direct connection between the Pancharatna and the Vedic. So in the spiritual world, everyone is following a culture of serving the Supreme Lord. But the conditioned soul, by engaging in that culture, can become spiritually absorbed. And at the same time gets also its needs fulfilled. We have Shiva's Pandit. He was always engaged in deity worship. From the morning till the evening, he was worshipping the deity and reading the Bhagavatam. He did not care about his family. But his family was maintained, engaged them also. Somewhere or other, every day he had everything he needed. And Lord Chaitanya came to Shiva's type and said, if Krishna one day does not give you what you need, what will you do? And Shiva clapped 3 times in his hand, and then we will chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And Lord Chaitanya said, and if Krishna a second day does not give what you want, then he said, yeah. Then Shiva's Pandit clapped 3 times in his hand. Then with all the family we will chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And Lord Chaitanya said, and if a third day Krishna doesn't give you what you need, then Shiva asked the question, then we will go with the entire family to the Ganga and we will drown ourselves. But he never worshipped. He was never, he was always, he got always what he needed. Not. But of course, the demons, they follow this culture, but they don't understand that it is a spiritual culture. And therefore, the result that they get is not spiritual. So if you don't perform an activity for Krishna, you don't get a spiritual result. I told already about the origin of the Pancharatma, of these 2 demons who stole from Brahma, and then the 5 days. So the importance of all these rules and regulations we follow in devotional service, and which are described also in the what's the book again from Sanatana Goswami, Hari Bhakti Vilas. Because what we find in the Nectar of Devotion is the main points of that. But about 2,000 rules, I think, described. We cannot follow them, but we can follow the main. But it helps to connect our conditioned nature with Krishna. It gives us the regulation we need to be engaged in bhakti without getting deviated. But there are many rules to follow, and we must follow them with patience and determination. So if we are not on the platform of prema, then we require a practice to get there. And this is the practice given to us. So our whole lifestyle should be this Pancharatma. That it's focused on chanting Hare Krishna and hearing the Bible. But the Pancharatma, of course, we chant and we hear the Bhagavatam, but all these rules and regulations, this practice of deity worship and so on, and also the practices in goodness, it gives us something we can relate to. We can see the deity. We can offer food to the deity. It's a practice that and it's the same lifestyle as in the spiritual world. But in the spiritual world, it's spontaneous. But we do not have this spontaneous attraction. Therefore, we need all these codes to engage us in deity worship. But in the beginning of this Pancharatma, and also Hari Bhakti Vilas describes that like when you wake up in the morning, the first thing we should do is offer our obeisances to the spiritual master. And then you meditate with your mind on Krishna for a few moments. And then when you go to the bathroom, you clean your tongue, because on your tongue a lot of things in the night are collected with a scraper. Then brush your teeth, put tilak, and wear neck beads. Appropriate dress, clean. Those who are Brahman initiated, they chant Gayatri before they worship the deity. They clean the place where they are staying. And in the beginning in the ashram, as a brahmachari, we would get up in the morning, roll up our mat, and immediately clean the floor. Immediately clean the floor, the first thing we do. And then we go to the temple after we dressed and so on. Then we ring the bell when we come on. That's also described. You bow down with your two hands on the floor. You chant the names of the deities, your obeisances. So these are all practices. Attending Mangalarti every morning, that worship Tulsi, that's the temples we receive guests, that's part. And we take prasad, that's all part of the Pancharatma. Various services we do for the deity. When I came in 2004, I think I was traveling with Bhakti Vishama, I came in Baltimore, and that's interesting. I forgot the name of the devotee. I was staying in his house, but he came to America in the 60s. He was an engineer in something doing with nuclear fusion. I don't know, but he was quite well educated, and he got a high post in a pharmaceutical company, which he worked there as director for many years, and then he got in charge of an affiliate in Baltimore, and he told me about the last 5 years before he retired. He would go to his office in the morning, and he would speak with his secretary and instruct her everything to do during 20 minutes. And he went into his office, and he was reading the Bhagavatam till noontime. At noontime, he was going home. Took prasad, went back. He spoke again with his secretary for 20 minutes, he giving instructions, and he was reading the Bhagavatam till it was till the evening when it was time to go home. And his wife told me, I'm so busy because they are Radha Krishna deities and they do 7 offerings a day.
Wow.
And she's so busy, no time, always busy with the deities. And that's ideal Kriyasta life. That to create a situation which you can focus yourself on Krishna. It's very nice. But, yeah. Mhm. So it's a lifestyle, Krishna consciousness. So yesterday we heard about hearing the Bhagavatam, but then you must practice a lifestyle at the same time. That, and the lifestyle gives it a form. And it's the same lifestyle as in the spiritual world. That, so the rules are created so that we can have a lifestyle similar as in the spiritual world. That, and all these rules and regulations, they are you find them in these 2 books, orange books, Pancharatna Pradeep. I have them at home, these 2 books.
They're hard to find. Hard to find.
Yeah, well, 30 years ago, you saw them everywhere, but now there are much more devotees, new devotees, and they are not so acquainted with it.
They're out of print.
Yeah, they're out of print. Yeah. But even those who have it, rarely someone reads it. Yeah, and that's yeah. But that's essential. That it makes your life regulated. That it's a lifestyle of one who is worshipping the deity. So to worship the deity, you must adopt that lifestyle. Otherwise, you cannot really worship the deity. You must adopt that lifestyle. And that, yeah. So, much more to say about this. But Pancharatma has different divisions, but that will lead us a bit too far. That, but the idea is that we adopt the lifestyle of a devotee. So devotee means lifestyle, spiritual lifestyle. We need to adopt it. It's important. And when we adopt it, then we will become satisfied, even materially. That, therefore, it's important to live a lifestyle in a mode of goodness. And if we live a lifestyle in a mode of goodness, then it will be more easy to make spiritual advancement. That, but that must be done under the guidance of the spiritual master. That we must learn this lifestyle from the spiritual master. See how the spiritual master lives. And it's a responsibility. Good. Any questions? Good. Yes?
Thank you. You mentioned that deity worship is essential for Kanishta Adhikari. My question is, to what extent can one engage in deity worship before second initiation?
Before second initiation, that's a good question. That, yeah, when one gets second initiation, does not mean one is a Brahmin. Because a Brahmin is a Madhyamādhikāri, the perfect Brahmin. But you are a good candidate to become a Brahmin. This rules and regulation of the Pancharatmika Vidhi, it's important we apply them. That's part of the qualification. But there is a difference. If you are not Brahman initiated, you cannot worship Radha Krishna. That's not appropriate. Because then to worship the deity normally, you must chant Gayatri. That's a prescription to worship the deity. But of course, that we can have a picture, that's no problem, and do the worship before the picture. Or you can worship Gaurnitai. Gaurnitai is very merciful. But still you have to follow the Pancharatmika. But not Radha Krishna, because if we make offenses, that will block our advancement. That's very serious. But Gaurnitai is also very serious, but Gaurnitai is merciful. He will forgive our offenses. It's the duty of the householder to worship the deity. So you can worship Gaurnitai. Also, to a certain extent, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, but not Radha Krishna. They are also very nice. But strictly, the Pancharatma forbid this. It's Srila Prabhupada allowed this. The Gaurnitai as far as I know. Because it's the duty of the household to worship the deity. It's part of the practice from the household. Does that help?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the class. I wonder about in the morning when we're not in the temple. I felt really instructive when you said about we should chant the songs, even though if we're not in the temple program in the temple. What is the package deal? Like we should chant japa before the song, a little bit like sing the song, just like a little bit of japa. What is the
If we are in the temple, you follow the temple program strictly. If we are traveling, we must adapt according to time, place, and circumstances on Sunday time. But like you did when we came in the morning, you were chanting all the songs in the car. Good. Good. So continue. Good. Very good. And
Thank you. How did you say the 5 elements of Bhakti Yoga? I missed one. It's action, knowledge, renunciation, devotion. What was the fifth?
meditation.
Meditation.
Yeah.
For karma, you said action and renunciation. For jnana, you said renunciation and knowledge. And then there was a third one. You were saying before Bhakti Yoga. There were 3 characteristics of that.
Yeah, that is Ashtanga Yoga, or the yoga system.
That
And
was
that is knowledge, renunciation, and meditation.
Absolutely. You said you mentioned how it's required to worship daily for neophytes, and we know that the Nitya Siddha devotees they also display great affection for
Yeah.
worshiping being. So can you qualify on that?
Yeah, sure, because for the neophyte, it's a way to purify them. That for those who are advanced is a way to express their love for Krishna. That's, they are not really attracted to the deities because they are there when they realize Krishna is the deity. The deity is Krishna. And the neophyte does not really realize it because he thinks, yeah, I'm serving the deity, but he does not see the deity in the heart of others. The purpose of deity worship is described by Lord Kapila at the end of the third canto. And he said, one should worship the deity and transfer the deity to one's heart and see the deity at the same time in one's heart. That's the practice of deity worship. We see Krishna on the altar, and we feel him also the same Krishna in our heart. That's the purpose. According to Lord Kapila. Okay.
You see the deity and you see the same thing in your heart.
You transfer him to your heart. It's still on the altar, but also in your heart.
What we talk about the photos, the pictures that have Krishna is everywhere. So we develop that characteristic that we see Krishna everywhere.
By deity worship. Yeah, that's the purpose. Not Kapila. Yeah. Hearing Krishna in the heart. Hare Krishna. Good. Thank you very much. Shantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.